You're listening to an episode recorded during the time Innovation Fuel was part of University Canada West. We are proud and grateful for the work we've done together, and we want to thank the university for being in our podcast. We are now excited to continue the journey of Innovation Fuel into its next chapter. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to Innovation Fuel, a business podcast by University Canada West.
Bringing you fantastic stories from accomplished entrepreneurs and key industry professionals. Let's explore the entrepreneurial world through local businesses and our university community. Oh, Gelareh, as wonderful as ever. You know, it's getting sunny. It's nice outside. It's fun. We get to play in the sun. It's warm. Yeah.
Awesome. The Vancouver weather is awesome. Also, Vancouver is a great place to work as well.
Yeah. And especially now becoming technology. And talking about technology, this ChatGPT, I'm having so much fun playing with it. How about you?
It's but I think that ChatGPT is a great AI. It's a next level of Google, just a search. But as I mentioned before, there is a lot of other areas that AI is playing a big role on that one.
Yeah, and I think we're talking about we're in the baby steps of artificial intelligence, like the very infancy element. We see a lot of people starting to test some different things around it. As you said, there is some other things that you might not even think of that are benefiting from this that will impact us too. And I think you might have something on that.
Yes, we have a guest that they are working on reducing the size of video streaming, but I think that he can explain it way more better than me. Well, let's welcome Paul McKenzie, CEO and founder of NexOptic Corporation.
Yes, welcome to another episode of Innovation Fuel, brought to you by University Canada West. Before we get going today, we are going to go somewhere really interesting today. All of you have been hearing about it. This artificial intelligence thing. Wow. We've been hearing about ChatGPT. We've been hearing about these things. How are they impacting society? How are they impacting you? But what else opportunities are coming out of it? Let's talk with someone that might be experiencing some of those opportunities. Hello, Paul. Welcome to Innovation Fuel. Before we get going, my friend, we got to know, who is this Paul McKenzie? Who are you, my friend, and how did you end up in this NexOptic organization?
Well, great to be here. Thank you for having me. That's a good question. I'll start out by telling you that I do not have a tech background, and I didn't study computers. I was in some computer programs in college, and I ended up dropping out of them because they just were not my bag. And my background actually was in Canadian public markets and startup companies, unrelated to tech initially. And I had a listed company listed on the Toronto Venture Stock Exchange, about $500,000 in it. We lost traction in our previous iteration, what we were working on, and an opportunity came by to work on a lens technology that revolutionized the camera lens. And so we struck a deal where we would fund this independent company, private company, for a period of time, and then have the option to acquire it, which we did. That's really how it came about. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, worked on a number of companies, primarily based out of Vancouver, but I've worked globally, lived globally, and also had operations in other countries. But this one, I've been out for a while, and it's really exciting. It's a remarkable team that we have, and we're doing some really, really innovative stuff in AI.
Yes, let's talk about the NexOptic and your innovative AI. What is the product?
It was brought up that, there's a lot of mystery around AI, and there's some fear around AI, and legitimately, this is pretty complicated stuff. And how is it going to impact our lives? How is it going to impact the world? Well, how will it impact your job or your future or our collective future? And what we work on specifically is to solve an age-old problem of as our society goes more and more online, and we do a lot more online. We do courses online. We watch videos online, YouTube channels. All of this stuff is having a huge draw on the global energy supply. People aren't fully aware of that. We come in as a solution to compress video files by a significant amount so that the overhead to corporations, whether big or small, so as big as, let's say, a Netflix or YouTube, as an example, or as small as maybe a small security company or a smaller imaging company, we can reduce the file sizes of their videos quite significantly, which ultimately saves them money, and it also saves them, it reduces their carbon footprint. It's very environmentally friendly. And, when we're at home in the evening and we're watching a Netflix movie or, we're maybe goofing around on looking at some YouTube videos, we're actually contributing to the drawdown of the global energy supply, not just because we've plugged in our computer or our TV set. There's a lot going on behind there in storage, fiber optics, pushing data. There could be 100 million people watching a movie or more, in the first week of its release online. So it's a significant and growing problem, and we think we have a significant role to play in that, a big solution.
But you're doing it without compressing, am I right?
Yes, we are. So there are compression companies out there. There's codec solutions, and if we didn't have those already, if those didn't currently exist, you wouldn't be able to watch a Netflix movie or Amazon Prime movie at home. It just would not be viable. How ours is different is we work at the beginning of the not post compression. So we work on a pixel by pixel manipulation process, which is very unique. It's something that we've patented. We continue to patent around. We currently know of nobody else doing it in this methodology. And so anyone else who's got a codec solution or a compression solution, we will be complementary to that. So we'll just help that process. So whatever numbers they're getting now on your compressed file size, we can increase that. As long as we can get in and manipulate the pixel of the image, it won't compete with anyone else, and it won't conflict with any other technologies that we're aware of.
This type of technology, you accidentally stumbled across this from the original technology that you had bought.
Absolutely correct. So it was kind of a funny story. We were originally making, as I mentioned, designing new camera lenses, and we got to the point where we were building out a consumer electronic binocular product, very, very compressed. We actually had the ability, we actually built prototypes. We could take a telescope the length of your leg and crush it down to the size of about a two-slice toaster. And we're getting the same image resolution, the same distance and everything else. And that's what we were working on. We were working on a binocular product. It was such a powerful lens that the slightest vibration in your hand, it just threw it off. You were stuck using a tripod, but needed a very stable base, and that would limit its market. So we worked on internally. We worked on image stabilization processes, and we did that using software solutions. And we brought in a remarkable guy out of U of A. His name is Kevin Gordon. A lot of people don't know this, but U of A, University of Alberta, right here in Canada, is one of the top AI universities on the planet. It's number 3 in certain categories and number 5 in certain categories. So a lot of talented kids come out of there, and a lot of corporations are finding some of the graduates. So we were lucky to get Kevin Gordon and then a couple of his associates and teammates he's worked with and fellow students. In the process of working on image stabilization, they were stripping out what's called image noise. So there's a lot. If you look at a picture, a still photograph, or you're looking at a video, there's a lot in there you can take away that will not reduce your experience of the movie or of looking at this picture. And that's referred to as image noise. So as you strip a lot of that out, you end up with a much more compressible video or still image. While we were having people coming up and explore and look at it, we were starting to get some interest. Somebody just asked us, "Hey, would this reduce the file size of the image?" And we said, "I don't know." So we ran some tests on it, and lo and behold, and really, it's machine learning AI, which is in and of itself is machine learning. It just gets better and better and more efficient. Our first early models, you needed a really, large size laptop to process an image. And then we got it down to where you could actually process stuff very efficiently and effectively off of your phone. And there's a race between the semiconductor space getting more efficient and more energy efficient and being able to process more data more effectively and faster and so forth. So it's just kind of been a perfect alignment for us to build into these new chipsets and get increasingly better solutions and better results.
Your client must be a Netflix, right? and other imaging or video streaming, right?
Anyone that's creating video and storing it and streaming it, either just storing it for later use or actually streaming it, and that's spending money to do that, we can reduce their costs. And yes, Netflix is the biggest and would be the biggest prize, so to speak, as a client customer. So we are working on inroads there. Our board of directors are very connected, quite impressively so, in Silicon Valley, which is where Netflix is headquartered, but also with, Amazon Prime. We learned the hard way. It's easy. If you have an innovative tech, it's not too hard to knock on the door of a big, huge company. And if they find it intriguing, they'll come on down and, come to the Google campus and, you can get a tour and, okay, that sounds exciting. But you end up frequently just in the bowels of these organizations without these key decision makers that are kind of pulling up from the top. And so you want to get to a level within the organization where somebody is going to make this decision, report to the senior people, and maybe it doesn't have a conflict of interest. Maybe your technology maybe is not going to replace parts of their department or something like that. So you really want to kind of get from the top down. Hey, listen, talk to so and so in this department, talk to this man or this woman, and then they're gonna absorb it with their team, and then they're gonna report back to me. And so that's what we learned the hard way, and we're getting better at it. So we're utilizing our contacts to get ourselves in the right rooms.
Yeah, because you think that you would have YouTube and ABC knocking on your door, you would have Netflix knocking on your door, you got Prime, you got all these people, because video content is the king or queen, whatever you want to call it. It's like that's where people are going to. That's what they're using. So I'm surprised that you can't get in there real quickly.
You're absolutely right. You would think, and a lot of these new technologies, there is a tipping point or there's a catalyst moment where you do suddenly sign up a major organization, and then you really a lot of heads turn. And the one advantage to working in tech, if you're an organization or a tech corporation, if you don't stay relevant or stay up with the times, you could lose your advantage pretty quickly. So what we've noticed in the last, 15, 20 years is that, that sort of slow, methodical approach and almost that the old school Japanese style of business and not wanting to make the first move and, don't put all your cards on the table sort of thing. If you use that business approach today, you'll just get left behind. And so that's an advantage that we have, that if corporations say, look, if we don't get the solution, our competitors will get it. Maybe we'll get locked out. Maybe someone will get exclusive or something like that. But at the same time, the bigger organization, the slower they run, the slower they move. So it's kind of a balance. But yeah, to your point, you would think they'd come knocking on our doors, but really, from our perspective, we're really working to secure that catalyst moment, that major corporation that the other companies will suddenly pivot and look at, what's going on over there.
You're telling that you're reducing the cost of their costs. Is it storing or streaming of any imaging, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
How are you pricing yourself, though?
Depend on a number of factors. We have a current client we're working with right now is a medical imaging company, Pristine Surgical out of New Hampshire. And for them, we have a SaaS. It's, they pay us a monthly per operating theater that they are in that uses our solution. With Netflix, we can work directly with them, or we could work with the cloud company that is they're using a store. In the case of Amazon Prime, they're frequently, depending on the geographic location, but they're frequently their own cloud provider. So that's something that, from perspective of a big organization like that, we're having internal discussions about the best place for us to fit and the best the most advantageous way to monetize the technology. If we just sign up with a cloud provider that is storing video content for a number of clients, we may get shortchanged. We have the potential to save the industry hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion+ a year. And so you want to try to get nickels or dimes or maybe a quarter of that savings in your pocket in exchange, as opposed to a penny or two, right? So it really comes down to strategically figuring out the best way to monetize and not necessarily jump at the first agreement that gets put on your... And that comes down to consulting. through our network and through our organization, and not getting drunk on one, great deal that comes in and says, wow, this looks great. And say, well, now take a whole step back and say, wait a minute, maybe if we do it this way, maybe if we deal directly with a cloud provider, it could be more strategic for us. Or maybe if we deal directly with a Netflix, for example, could be more advantageous. So that's stuff that we're currently exploring.
But again, and the other side of it too, Paul, I bet that there's an element of constant testing too. So you said you've got already some partners in place that you're kind of testing it constantly and trying out in different areas, like image testing, and then you might use the video elements or moving into different areas to bring up the value of that.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things that our AI can solve. We call it, our AI, by the way, we call ALICE, which is an acronym for All Light Intelligent Imaging Solutions. It solves a lot of problems. As I mentioned in the medical imaging, we're taking these little tiny cameras that they use for endoscopic surgery. Some of them we use for maybe a quick day surgery. And because these lenses are so small, they let very little light in. We're taking that, helping to move that industry up to 4K resolution, which didn't happen before our software, our AI. So in that space, we approach it differently. We approach the business model differently. And if we're dealing directly with a security camera company, and if people have their own internal systems for security reasons or privacy reasons, it'd be different relationships. And it comes down to volume and size and stuff. And there's a lot of other places areas we can play. I mean, we've been in discussions with some of the big phone manufacturers, some that you probably all have on your desk or your pocket or purse right now. So there's the big ones about directly implementing into there. So and of course they're not going to pay the same as. It's not going to be a SaaS model, so to speak. It would be a per phone one-time arrangement.
I have another question. So for your industry and your work, so what is the best strategic alliance for you on the compression company? That can be a strategic alliance?
No, I think we actually are considering approaching some of the, we're seeing some impressive new compression technologies. Some companies that are getting, so I won't name any right now, but some that are starting to get some big traction. They're moving past the startup stage. They're already, they're publicly listed on NASDAQ, for example. We're considering a partnership with some of them because our solution combined with their solution would just make an even better solution. And they're already integrated with some of the customers that we want to get involved with. So the other is, if we get a video streaming company like the ones I've mentioned, if they want to come in and, there's a myriad of ways we could work with them. We could do an advanced royalty, and that could go towards, some integration processes and things like that. So any of that stuff would be great for us. We're a small team. We've got a very small group of engineers that are doing amazing work. But we're up against some of these guys that have got hundreds, if not thousands, of software engineers.
Awesome, for sure. Those engineers should be doing a lot of work because apparently the NexOptic is getting a lot of attention. My question will be so what is the next step? So as you said, you need to be always, because you're in the high-tech companies, you always need to be on the edge of technology. So you always have to think forward thinking. So what is the next step for NexOptic?
Okay, great question. So it's twofold. And again, there's multiple markets we can go to. There's other things we can do, but we're just honing in on two things. One is we continue to advance the efficiency of NexCompress. It keeps getting improved, remarkably so. So we're getting better compression. We're getting higher resolutions. We're getting all these wonderful things. And number two is integration, commercialization with a major player. And that's what we're doing. And as I mentioned before, to get in those with the big organizations, we're just working to get in the right rooms. And that's where is really our sole focus right now, those two areas.
Yeah. Again, this has been so exciting conversation. And, Paul, I have this inclination too. I think I might have heard through a rumor mill that you might be good at funding and raising capital. And I want to have a conversation, but I think it's going to go longer than this particular episode. Before we end this particular episode, we need to ask you a challenge. Let's think about this challenge. I don't know what you're thinking, Paul, but we need a challenge to throw out to these students, to the listeners, a macro challenge, a micro challenge maybe that you're facing as an organization that you need help with, or a macro challenge around this AI and machine learning and where's the future going? Give us something, my friend.
You're putting me on the spot a little bit, but what I'll say is like a personal challenge. And I mean, as an organization, we pivoted. You know, we've moved and we've had to completely reinvent ourselves and go in entirely new directions. So my challenge would be to listeners is what do you need to let go of in your life? Like, is there a direction that you've been moving in that is leading you somewhere better, but you haven't quite figured it out yet? Or maybe you're getting an inclination that, listen, you know what, I think I could redirect this in this way. The sooner you do that, I think the better off you'll be. So my challenge would be where can you pivot in your own life? And that could be on any level of your personal life, physical, mental, emotional, business, commerce, financial, everything. Where can you take what you've learned, let go of some of the baggage, and redirect yourself? So that's my challenge.
Awesome. I love it. Let go, people. Let go.
So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dave. That was another episode of Innovation Fuel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Innovation Fuel. We are on all podcast streaming platforms, Google, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Visit our website at www.ucanwest.ca/Innovation Fuel. Also, follow us on Instagram at innovation_fuel.